Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. It is Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. This show is brought to you by DraftKings here early on a Monday morning. Good to be back from the weekend. We have a loaded show coming up for you over the next 3 hours. A lot of college basketball on the docket, including two really good guests, Dallin Cuff from ESPN and also Jay Billis will join us a little bit later on today in the program. We'll hit a bunch of NBA, some NBA free agency, landing spots with odds that are available to bet on as well. Do you concur a little bit later on as well? Mitch and Paul here with you. How you feeling today? A little bit better?
Yeah, thank you.
Over the weekend, a lot of orange juice, a lot of liquids. Got you feeling a little bit better now?
Thanks for the final hour Friday. Great Paul Stone running on the Achilles and running through Texas.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good to be back. I didn't want to be right about this, and I know it's unfortunate as this will be the time where everyone's talking about the same topic, but I've been telling you for 7 years, this court storming is stupid, and it's got to go away. And I know you love the sport, but it's nauseating to watch. And maybe the fact that it's a Duke player that it affects is big and helps, but I can't wait to hear what Jay Billis says on this.
Well, certainly that's going to be a reason why it's going to factor into this, right? Like if it was a player from St. Mary's, would it be getting the national narrative that it has right now?
No, it helps. It was Duke, and everyone saw it.
Yeah.
It's an addiction. It's stupid. And then most of these fans are hopped up on something, probably drunk. And then why are you running full speed? Where are you going? Just so you can get to center court?
I'm torn on it. I really don't have a strong opinion. I mean, what part of me says it's silly and it's completely unnecessary. And what is the point in a regular season game to go out there and try to mob each other? The other part of me is like they're college kids. Let them have some fun. I don't really care. I'm not going to get fired up about it. But this is what's going to happen to bring on some change for court storming. And it happens all the time in college basketball across the regular season. If it wasn't on TV originally, it never would happen. That's my big deal, right? Is that it just if this was never shown originally, and if people would not showcase this on TV every time it happened, then we would never have the daily court storming across college basketball.
No one belongs on the floor, though. You don't belong on the floor.
Right.
You want to blame security, that's one thing, and certainly Wake Forest dropped the ball because you knew this was going to happen. It was your first sellout since 2007, and the sellout before that was Duke. But I don't care how many security guys you get, you can't stop all those people coming in, and you finally had a significant injury.
Imagine if this is big enough for Filipowski's not the same guy the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Imagine you have future tickets on Duke, whatever. I mean, you might be a big fan, you might have bets on this team, whatever, and all of a sudden their best player is hurt like this in a fluky fashion at the end of the game on something that probably should not be happening. I'd be outraged. In
2004, someone was almost paralyzed. In a New Mexico State game, there was a brawl, and a player punched a student. It's like, how many times does this have to go on before you say, you know what, really, we should do something, right? And I said for 7 years, someone seriously is going to get injured. And here, I don't know if it's going to cost them their season. Certainly, if you look at the overhead angle, it appears he sticks his leg out on the first Wake player. But then But then the second Wake fan, if you noticed, is trying to push him in the back at the same time. What's going on? And then you also have the girlfriend helping him through the tunnel, which I've never seen before. Watching basketball and sports, where the girlfriend's helping him out and taking him all the way back to the tunnel. So it's just, it was a total debacle.
Yeah, this was much earlier in the year. Purdue head coach, this is pretty alarming when you hear some of his words here. This is Matt Painter talking about court storming.
So we got to do something about the court storms, guys. I don't know why institutions aren't ready for it. Like, what did you think was going to happen if they won? Like, spread the word. Spread the word before somebody gets hurt. A student from Nebraska should be able to storm the court, right? Like, we're cool. Just get ready for it. If that's what you're going to do. So we're struggling in our conference with that. Our freshmen, sophomore, and juniors have never lost a road game without a court storm. Think about that. That
is incredible.
Yes.
And it's Purdue we're talking about. Yes, a 1 seed. They're highly rated every single year. But this is like Allen Iverson, right? We're talking about practice, man. We're talking about Purdue, man.
Mm-hmm.
The freshmen, sophomores, juniors have never lost a game on the road in conference play without a court storming. That's absurd beyond belief.
That is.
I never realized that. I never would have bet. How? So how many times does that happen then? Enough. More than enough.
Yep. And you what happened here? What happened with Caitlin Clark? College basketball is becoming hockey, where the only time the NHL leads your show is when something stupid happens or there's an unfortunate accident or incident, like a Malarchuk, a Zednik, or a McSorley doing something stupid with a stick. And that's the point now where we only talk about March Madness when we lead the show. If something bad, unless it's March Madness, we only lead with college hoops if something absurd happens. And that's what happened Saturday. And I mean, who's going to make the change? The NC2A, the conferences? How about a tournament ban? How about you have to forfeit the game? That's some of the stuff that's been kicked around. I think enough's enough. And I'm not. This isn't directed at you. But as far as this, let the kids have fun stuff. I mean, some of this stuff is laughable. What you're hearing and other people are saying though.
I feel like this is going to be the catalyst though for change because again, to pin home the biggest point, it was a Duke player. It was their biggest star. Mm-hmm. It was their best player. And some are going to say, well, that's completely unfortunate. Again, it should have been happening years ago, but this is probably what the sport needed to happen. You know, I hate to say that, but that program, do you think if Coach K was still coaching today, if he was still the head man at Duke, do you think he would have been civil about this after the game? No. And people would have been taking notice from coast to coast.
Right. Well, Flip had no chance, though. Where's he going to run to?
No, I know.
Where's he going to go?
It's a total mob scene right away.
Right. They came out. And then the other thing is, one time he did it and Roy Williams did it. They pulled his team off the floor early because he knew what was going to happen. But the whole thing's nonsense. And the word was used, I think it was Gary Parrish, who was excellent on CBS College Sports. It's an addiction that people have, and it's got to stop. You do not belong on the floor.
No,
no one belongs on the floor other than the players.
They know they're going to be on TV after the game's over with, and it's going to be, they want to be part of the whole fun that's happening right in front of them. So it's not going to stop unless the sport does something about it, obviously. A little bit more on this. Here's Clark Kellogg on CBS.
Shut it down. I don't think you can have a middle ground.
That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. You're trying to play both sides against the middle. The players and coaches need to get off the court. And if you want to have a post-court storm, a minute and a half after the game, then you can do that. But the players and coaches, officials have to be given room to get off the court.
Kellogg, very opinionated, along with many others as well. Dallin Cuff on the program at about 90 minutes. Jay Billis a little bit later on as well on court storming and other goings-on in college basketball. The marquee game of the weekend, I thought, was probably Kentucky and Alabama.
Lived up to the hype.
Yeah, it was super entertaining. Kentucky did lead by 30 at one point in that game. And the highest in-play total I saw was 215.5. If they played again Wednesday and they made the total 180, you going to go under?
Nope.
Nope, neither am I.
I take Kentucky, too. It's a bad matchup for Alabama. It seems that Kentucky's at their best when they play that tempo. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. And, I mean, if you've heard this show at all in the past, maybe today's your first day listening. I have several bets on Kentucky to win the national championship. I added 40-1 after they lost to LSU. And somehow, some way, there was still a 30-1 out there after they beat Alabama. I grabbed more of that. I think I have 9 bets on Kentucky now. I'll do the math on that this week to figure out how much I have spent so far on Kentucky, what I have down, and what I can win, so I can be fully transparent on that. They are right now at KenPom, the number 18 team in the country. Torvik has them number 17. Steve Mackin and his power ratings are available as well at vsin.com. He has a number 14. I want you just to don't even look at any numbers right now. When you watch, and this is not eyeball test, but when you pay attention to these teams and watch these teams go out with their A game, the team that can play to the highest power rating, there is absolutely no way, no how 8, 10, 12, I would even say 5 teams have a better power rating or a higher A game than Kentucky. They just don't. I mean, I'm looking at one mock draft right now. Take that for what it's worth. NBADraft.net has 7 players for Kentucky getting drafted in the top 40. I think there's a chance where they could have 6 players go in the first round. Now, it comes down to whether or not Calipari can figure this team out, and we saw Big Z again. He's so good. Why was he not playing before the game against Alabama? Why is DJ Wagner even on the court? And he might be a first-round pick. And if Edwards plays like that, who is a 5-star kid, you have Dillingham, who might be the first pick in the draft, Reed Shepherd, who's probably top 10, and Edwards playing like that, along with a bunch of big guys. And Mitchell's been out, and they can go Thiero as well. They're absurd, and they're going to be a 4 seed probably. And the one is going to be, you're looking at Purdue, Houston as maybe the 1 seed. They are the problem to me, as I've said though, the entire year in college basketball It's not that they're brand new again this year. It's that the coach is the same guy. It's Calipari, and that's the guy that I can't trust.
Yep.
That's my only problem with the team. Other than that, they're loaded. There isn't a team in college basketball with more talent than Kentucky. They're so good. But here's the deal. They have 8 losses. They play tomorrow night at Miss State. They'll probably be a small dog in that game. They could easily lose that. They could have 10 losses by the SEC tournament. They might have 11 losses going into the tournament.
I want no part of that guy come March. I want the better coach every single time, and when they're playing, he's had some horrible losses on his resume as well. The other thing I couldn't believe is you're seeing Alabama in the 3-4 range, which with a 19-8 record, although they're in a good league and they're playing well, I think that's way too aggressive. But they are fantastic watch, and I hope they make a deep run based on this chaos that they play in this crazy tempo. So I'm shocked at the 3 or the 4 seed, but we'll see how they close, and they got a big game with Tennessee coming up. And oh, by the way, at DraftKings, Arizona's down to like $1.50 to get a 1 seed.
Yeah.
So the door is open for Tennessee here to grab another one.
I did bet a team to get a 1 seed over the weekend. It wasn't either one of those that you mentioned. I'll tell you who it was coming up a little bit later on in the program. I think there's a path for another team to steal that 4th 1 seed. Tennessee's schedule is, a complete meat grinder down the stretch. Up next, weekend reaction to the NBA. It's a very small sample size. It's been impressive, but I need at least 2 more weeks to buy in. I'll tell you why and which team next.
Get a VSiN annual subscription for $199. Daily best bets, betting splits, upcoming March Madness betting guide. It's coming, folks. The little tournaments start next week. Promo code FTM. Get the annual subscription. $50. Save $50. Code FTM. VSiN.com/subscribe.
I remember when we had our buddy Doug Kazarian in studio a couple of weeks ago. He's very good on the NBA.
Yeah.
And I thought he brought up a great phrase when it comes to award betting. He called them fake markets, right? This is not like betting the Boston Celtics to win the Eastern Conference or to win their division like that. You can come up with numbers that make sense on something like that and how the math works out. You really can't do that with awards. It's just a lot of the stuff, opinions might be baked into the number, and it's based on what a guy like Zach Lowe might be saying in a column or what he does on his podcast or other people with influence and how that could change the market with some of these awards. We'll play a little blind resume here for one award in the NBA. There's going to be a lot of numbers, but I think at the end of this, you're going to realize that this could be another fake market that we're talking about. Player number 1 here in blind resume for an NBA award. He's played in 55 games. He's played a total of 1,840 minutes. He has 497 defensive rebounds. His defensive rebound percentage is 25.4%. That is 9th best in the NBA. He has 113 blocks, 33 steals, and his defensive estimated plus minus is plus 2.4, which is like outside the top 10, top 15 in the NBA. His defensive player of the year odds, it's actually, I think, minus $7 at last check. You probably know who I'm talking about. It's player number 1. Player number 2 for this award has played in 52 games now after last night. Played 26 minutes. So that's now up to 1,470 minutes. That is, again, nearly 300 minutes and 3 games behind player number 1. After last night, he now has 412 defensive rebounds. He's 27.1% with that percentage, which is 6th best in the NBA. After last night, 5 more blocks, he has 171. Player number 1 has 113. Steals on the year after last night, he had 1 more. He's got 67, again, compared to 33, more than doubling up player number 1. And his defensive estimated plus minus is plus 3.2. That is tied for 4th among qualifying guys. His odds to win Defensive Player of the Year are 15-1. How is that possible? How is he 15-1 and he has pretty much every single category he is blowing the other guy out of the water, and yet player number one is -$7 to win the award. Player one is Rudy Gobert to win Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah,
Player
yeah.
number two is your guy, Victor Wembanyama.
Wow.
It's not close.
Record and team Minnesota's number one in defensive efficiency, and that and San Antonio can't get stops.
Sure. So how much does that
Yep.
play into it? Minnesota's number one as a team. The Spurs are awful defensively as a team. Yet Victor Wembanyama's numbers overall, and by the way, 300 fewer minutes
Yep, that's big.
and 3 fewer games. It's not even close, folks. And yet he's 15-1. You just mentioned this during win-lose, right? What'd you call it? A 5-by-5 game?
Yeah. 5 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, blocks, steals. Yeah.
Every night now, it's like 5 blocks, excuse me, and like 3 steals. So can Wembanyama help it that the rest of his team is terrible defensively? And Gobert on the flip side, somebody recently said that the reason why Rudy Gobert has been so good this year defensively is because the players in front of him are elite on that side of the court,
Interesting.
including Jaden McDaniels. Anthony Edwards has
Right.
really turned in. They have bench players who are super highly ranked in terms of overall defensive rating in the NBA this year. They have like 6-7 guys who are very good defenders. That's helping out Gobert put up, and turn into a $7 favorite. To me, it's bonkers. I took a little Wembanyama at 66-1 about two weeks ago.
Wow.
You were on him
Oh God, I win so much money if he wins.
right after the draft. You were on him.
Yes.
This to me, the numbers are. This is a fake market that Kazarian talked about. There's how folks. How is Rudy Gobert -$7 and how is Victor Wembanyama 15-1? The numbers don't lie. I rest my case.
I'll tell you though, the hype train, the freight train's coming though. I mean, everyone, based on what he's done, and really what he did Friday in the Laker game, you're seeing it everywhere now. And I don't think it's nearly enough what he's laying for Rookie of the Year, and certainly he should be in this discussion as well. He's on pace to become the first player in history to average more than 3 blocks, more than 1 steal, and more than that over a full NBA season. He just turned 20 last month. He's logging less than 29 minutes a night. He has more steals than Caruso, more 3-pointers than Jalen Williams, more blocks than Jackson Jr. and Porzingis combined. And he doesn't play that many minutes. And then also how they were using him and what Pops was doing the start of the year.
Sure.
And they were playing a true point guard as well. Right, they almost beat the Lakers and didn't go well last night in Utah. But, it's a bad team. Look, that's what happens when you pick a number one.
Of
And they
course.
also were horrendous defensively the last year is also what he was walking into. So this is good discussion.
Yeah, you watch what happens, by the way, when this team starts to get better. Next year, the year after, they add some pieces. They get better defensively. They have better defenders in front of him. Wembanyama will probably have, let's just say that his numbers at the end of the year aren't as good as they're going to be this year in his rookie year. So what? Because they add better pieces around him and they become better defensively as a team, all of a sudden he has to be turned into the guy who's going to win the award every single year? Nonsense.
Yeah.
He can't control that, the team was so bad in front of him and the team that he landed. Whoever was picking number one last year was going to take this guy no matter what, and they were probably going to be bad defensively anyway. As you said, there's a reason why they're picking number one overall in the draft. I don't know. I think this needs more attention, and other guys that are ahead of him, like Jared Allen right now, to win, get out of here. Stop. This should be between 2 players. I'm dead serious about this. Wembanyama needs to get some serious attention towards Defensive Player of the Year. And if the reason why he might not get taken seriously, and you're going to hear Gobert, is exactly what it's. Oh, the team's so good defensively. Well, is it a team award or is it a player award?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And this goes back to other awards and other sports. Like we just saw what happened in the NFL. But like most improved, Maxey was a great player, hell of a player last year.
He certainly was.
Are we sure he should be this big a favorite for most improved? I mean, your guy Kuminga and Sengun and Kobe White, another big game last night too in the win, and hit the big 3. I mean, that's just, who knows what these guys think and vote. The only thing we know is what they think with the straw vote with the MVP. But again, that could flip and change in a couple weeks, where someone could be like, if it's enough push in a media narrative about, let's look at his numbers, and here this team has now won 8 or 9, and this is getting lost in transit. Doug Kazarian loved Gobert when he was like $1.50. Well,
Sure.
what does he feel now that he's $7? It could be out of control.
Again, I had, I'll go back to last year. I had Brooke Lopez from the first week of the season at 500-1 to win this award. Mm-hmm. He turned into an odds-on favorite throughout the year, late in the year, and was, even money or minus 120 in that range for a while. It meant nothing. He was tracked down by Jaren Jackson, and he never won the award. And Jaren Jackson actually had way more first-place votes than Brooke Lopez. So just because the market is telling you that a guy is, the favorite to win or should win the award, doesn't always happen that way. Are you getting concerned at all about your Cavaliers division ticket? Now they're minus 135 today at DraftKings.
Yeah, they're in a funk. Yep. The Bucks might get this figured out, and I'm a little concerned with how they're playing. So
the Bucks schedule, again, we talked about this in the first hour.
But the Cleveland schedule is difficult too.
Yeah, it's true.
The Cleveland the schedule is a lot of back-to-backs and a lot of 9 games in 14 days type stuff. So war of attrition for Cleveland, and they were also playing over their heads. That's why we said take the 8-1 because their schedule was a joke. So there was a little bit of both. They won 17-19, but they also were playing a lot of Washington and a lot of crap in there.
Sure. I'll ask you this in the Western Conference. At the very bottom of the playoff standings, if you're Oklahoma City or Minnesota, would you rather play the Lakers or the Warriors in the first round? It's looking like that's a real possibility.
That's probably Golden State. Because I don't want to deal with those bigs down low. Because it's going to be a parade to the free throw line with LeBron and AD.
Probably will be.
Yep.
I'd be concerned about, Curry, who was not great last night, 1 of 10 from downtown. Klay Thompson, by the way, playing better off the bench now. Mm-hmm. So that was a good move by Steve Kerr. I don't know if I'd want to play it's a tough question because that team in a 7-game series, if Curry gets hot, no thank you to that as well. I think it's, if you're Denver, you don't care about either team. Denver they've won after last night now 7 straight against the Warriors and 10 out of 11.
Yeah. And
we saw what happened last year in the playoffs when they swept the Lakers. So whoever that is in the first round for them, if it was one of those teams.
Very impressed. Great start to the second half by OKC, though.
Yep.
That's been great.
College hoops, Dalen Cuff up next, ESPN. Does he trust Purdue, Houston, or Tennessee enough to be there at the end of this season?
Start your morning with a daily dose of winning strategies, insider tips, and the latest buzz with the free VSiN Daily newsletter. Expert analysis, latest odds delivered straight to your inbox, absolutely free. VSiN.com/newsletter to subscribe.
Dalen Cuff joins the program now. He does a great job on the coverage for college basketball at ESPN. Dalen, thanks for the time today. How you been?
I'm doing well, guys. Glad to be on with you.
Yep, thanks for coming on again, as always. We appreciate that. Of course, the big story over the weekend, what happened on the court after the game, Wake Forest and Duke. Kyle Filipowski, Duke's best player, gets injured after the game when the Wake fans were storming the court. Overall, is this going to be the catalyst for change now in college basketball because the star player at Duke got hurt during one of these court stormings?
I think ultimately it may be, guys. I realize it's an indefensible position. I always have a soft spot for it. I think it's unique to our game. It's memorable for the players, for the coaches, for the fans, and those that have been part of them. They do set lifelong memories, and I do think, unfortunately, they're gonna go away because not just Kyle. Obviously, it's Caitlin Clark earlier in the year. It was a situation too that if you watch, we Zapruder filmed this thing, which is sad. A reflection of us as individuals is not good. But when you do look at the baseline, there was John Curry, the AD, said there was a plan. There clearly wasn't a plan, man. When you watch Creighton, UConn last weekend, not 2 weekends ago, I guess, they had what it has to be all the time: the rope hand in hand with security, partitioning off part of the court, allowing the team to get off. They handled it really well. They knew it was going to happen. It was a 17-point game or something like that. But there was a timeout with 2.4 seconds left in that Duke game where they knew what was going to happen. And on the baseline, there wasn't a single security guard, and those kids were frothing at the mouth. The clock hadn't even expired. They were on the floor almost like cockroaches with the lights on. That can't happen. And there has to be a plan. It has to be executed. It's on the administration. They did a terrible job. John Curry said there was a plan. There was not. And because of things like that, I think ultimately it is indefensible for me to sit here and say they should continue because it was only a matter of time before a big-time player had gotten hurt. We had seen instances in smaller schools where things like this had happened,
right,
where you did have altercations or players get hurt or fans involved. You also saw fans all over the floor in that thing. I mean, they're all running around with their phones in their hand. They can't see anything. I mean, it is chaos. So I imagine what has transpired here, you're going to have to either criminalize the activity like you do in the pro ranks, or the fines that exist for some conferences, not the ACC, will have to be exponentially raised, because SEC for $100,000 or the Big East for 25, or the Big East for 5, the Pac-12 for 25 or 50 is nothing. And the ACC doesn't have one. So you have to have exponentially higher fines, criminalize it, and it will be taken out of the game, I think, in the future here.
Could have to forfeit a game. Do you think we'd ever get that far with it?
You may. I mean, I really do think. Let's be real here, guys. This is big business. You find those people $1 million in any administration, they're locking this thing down.
Yeah.
That court is going to look like a professional environment toward the end of a game, and kids are not coming on. You do see it in Kansas State and other places where the fans go in, but the players go into the student section and celebrate. You may see that, and that just becomes the norm. Where the players run up there and they go nuts, and that's how they have their memory.
That's a good point about the phones, too. People recording themselves can't see what the hell they're doing, and not to mention they're under the influence of something, too. Not all of them,
For sure.
but some of them.
Sure.
Okay, big week for Gonzaga. Do you think Gonzaga's in the tournament, and do they have to win at San Francisco and St. Mary's?
You don't have to, because, again, guys, this is why I love the event. It's the most democratic event in sports. You can win your way in through the conference tournament. I think the San Francisco game is critical because they want that 2 seed. Remember, in the West Coast Conference, the 1 and 2 seed buys into the semifinals. You have to win one game to get to the final to play. Ultimately, I think it's going to end up being St. Mary's and Gonzaga, but you want to have as small a road as possible to get tripped up, and Gonzaga's not had a problem with that in the past. This year they do. I think they get the win at San Francisco, which would be a quad one win currently. St. Mary's, I think, is probably a bridge too far. I'm not sure they can win in that environment in the way the game will be played by the Gales as they kind of grind their opponents down and playing much better, obviously, over the last 6-7 weeks. Gonzaga can play their way in. If they don't, that win against San Francisco, will be very important. And then it's going to be squeaky bum time. We'll just say that, because their resume is not great. Winning at Kentucky is good. They want Kentucky to keep playing well down the stretch, because that win in itself carries a lot of weight. I think they're a tournament team, but their resume with one quad one win and they played very good opponents in the non-league, as they always do, isn't the strongest. But when you look at it in its final entirety with other teams around it, you have to hope the Butlers of the world struggle, and obviously Wake Forest went the other way. Seton Hall, those type of teams are all living on the bubble right now. Many in the Big East, some in the ACC struggle, and they continue to play at a level, because remember, they don't play deep into Champ Week. This is their Champ Week coming up here a week right here, but the next week before the big boys play. So I think they ultimately will get in, but it is going to be very, very tight.
Well said. It's Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Dalen Cuff, does a great job with college basketball on ESPN. How much stock do you put into past results and tournament play for trying to predict what's going to happen in the future? I ask you with, Purdue struggles over the years in the tournament, Tennessee as well. Houston made a Final Four in recent years, but they've been bounced earlier than anticipated. Like, how much do you see those three teams being true contenders this season?
I don't put much stock into what you've done in the past. I think all three of those teams are great coaches that have had, Kelvin's had a bunch of success. Getting to the Final Four, guys, with the Houston team that year is success without a doubt. He's gotten to Elite Eight as well. I would say that, and Painter's an outstanding coach. It's more the team than how it's constructed this year. And let's start with Tennessee. You can say they struggled in years past. This team is different. They can play at pace. They do have a lottery pick, a wing player in Dalton Knecht to go create. Zakai Ziegler is starting to play like he did toward this time last year when he tore his ACL. Adu and Awaka playing together gives them something different in the interior and some more physicality in those guys. When they're scoring, too, that team is really good. So I think offensively they are light years better than where they've been in years past. And defensively, they're still elite. So that team, to me, evaluate the team on this year. That team is capable of getting to a Final Four. Last year's team, I didn't think was any shot. The year before that, any shot, because the imbalance between offense and defense was just too great. Doesn't happen this year. Houston, defensively, they are an absolutely elite squad. We know that. They turn you over. Offensive rebounding, one of the best in the country. Their offense has continued to get better. Damian Dunn, Emmanuel Sharp have emerged a little bit. They've played better. Sharp was really good in the Baylor game, made some big shots to go along with Jamal Shedd and L.J. Cryer. Evaluate this team this year. They are better offensively than they've been in the past. They are the same defensively. They are capable of getting to a Final Four and winning the whole thing. Leads me to Purdue. I can't back a team that is so reliant. Ezeki 7-4 monster, we see that. But if he gets in foul trouble, as he did in Nebraska, in other games this year, that team is susceptible. Their guards are good players, but I still think the athletic limitations of those guys and the league they played in allows them to be hit and allows them to hide that. They're very good. They can get to a Final Four, maybe. I don't know if I'm be betting that, but that seems likely. I don't think they're going to win the whole thing. I think there are teams that you can speed up those guards, you can pressure those guards, you can challenge them, and then on the other side, you can exploit them and their wing players defensively And again, when it's all revolves around Edey, if something goes wrong in a one-and-done scenario, it's hard for me to back that horse comparative to like a UConn where they can win in 8 different ways. They can win in a grinder. They can play an up-tempo game. They can play inside out. They can knock down threes. Like the versatility by which that team can beat you is almost unlike anybody in the country. And Purdue has to operate in a certain manner with sometimes certain opponents to help them. Like I think about some of these SEC teams, maybe even a couple Big 12 teams that if they run into, that could be a real problematic situation for them in a second or third round situation.
What is the problem with Florida Atlantic?
Well, that's a weird thing, guys. Like last year, they played in a much weaker league, and that's when you're trying to run it all back again. It's not going to be a sweep. I mean, you run 30 games in a year. That's special. You play in a weaker league, that helps. It's ironic we're saying what's wrong with Florida Atlantic when they lost on the road at Memphis, which is what they were supposed to do before the season. We thought it was going to come down to these 2 games, home and home, between these 2 teams in the final 14 days of the season that would decide the American Conference champion. Memphis has not held their end of the bargain. They started to right the ship a little bit. They got some investigations off the court going on. I don't know what the heck's going on there, but their court results have been better of the last 7 days, beating Charlotte and beating Florida Atlantic. That's important for that team to get into the tourney and then play well potentially there. Florida Atlantic, I think you're playing a harder schedule. You're on the road in that game. These guys have a similar role to last year, but also to maintain that level, that hunger, that consistency, and play as well is really hard. Also, to have the target on your back is really hard, and have guys like you and me talking about them where we would have breathed their name, 2 seasons ago. So it's a very different scenario. I think that team is still good. They still have great guard play, and Davis you go around the outside there, Greenlee, Boyd, all those guys can play. The problem too, I do think that teams do realize you can't exploit Vlad Golden, and middle pick and roll is a big issue for their team. And if you start to really focus and hone in on that, and have guards that can exploit that, and players that can challenge them, also can challenge them in the offensive glass, you could have a problem. And that's what you're seeing. They had a magical run last year. They're really still a really good team. Would I pick them to go to the Final Four? No. Did I do that last year? No. It would be improbable if they did it again. But they're still a good team. It's just a much better league, and a team that's it's hard to run it back the same way again. Yep.
In about a minute left here, Dallin. How many teams in college basketball have a better A game than Kentucky?
It's a small number. And I would say, like I mentioned, UConn is the team that I feel the strongest about and have now for probably 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing with Kentucky, we keep saying it's if they guard, man. And with Alabama this past weekend, they guarded well enough. They had 29 points off turnovers. They scored on almost every turnover they created. A bunch of live ball turnovers. But can they sit down and stay in a stance and guard consistently with teams that are a little more, let's say, disciplined offensively sometimes, that are trying to wear you down. They're trying to make you guard for 2 and 3 sides and long through the possession. We'll see. But when they guard offensively, they're best team in the country. They have the most weapons, the most pros that can create. And defensively, they guard enough. They are dangerous. Guys, if they're going to be like a 6 or 7 seed, look out. Like, that is an absolute nightmare. Their seeding will be really critical come Selection Sunday.
Totally agree. Follow him on X. He's at Dallin Cuff. Dallin, you do a great job on ESPN. Thanks so much for the time today. We appreciate that.
Thanks, guys. Be well.
Thank you.
You too. Up next, updated odds to get a 1 seed. I took a stab on a team at 9-1 over the weekend. Find out who next.
Baseball's back. What a better way to hit off the grapefruit and cactus leagues than with VSiN's free MLB betting primer. They'll tell you how to bet on spring training and continue all season long with the World Series futures analysis and awards market. Breakdown on how to use sabermetrics. Bet the MLB smarter this year. Download the free MLB betting primer now for free. VSiN.com/guide. VSiN.com/guide.
We did have Jay Billis scheduled to join the program here. Looks like that's not going to happen from ESPN, unfortunately. We'll try to see if he can join us one other day during the week. So there's a lot of sports betting content, Paulie, across the country now. Captain Obvious, again, checking in for the second time today. It's all over. You can't get away from it, right? VSiN, the people who started this network many, many years ago, they had the foresight to actually get ahead of it before PASPA was repealed back in 2018 and sports betting became legal in what is now up to more than 30 states across the country. Safe to say it's in the mainstream big time now. So much so that SNL decided to make it into a sketch over the weekend. Here you go.
Rock Bottom Kings, you'll feel like you're in the game of your friend versus his horrible demons.
But again, addiction is a real problem.
And we take it very seriously.
That's why all these gambling ads are full of cash, gold, fireworks, and flames exploding everywhere.
Because you're not a loser. Your friend is.
They say the house always wins. Well, now you're the house, and your friend is probably going to lose his.
Does it seem a little cruel to bet on your friend's devastating addiction? Sure. But it's also hilarious.
They had the whole menu of how he would blow it and hit rock bottom out as it rock bottom Kings. Not bad.
It's like a 2-minute sketch, by the way.
Yeah.
And don't we all have that friend? Right? Where you're like, I'd like to be able to bet on something here. Give me a menu. I think something awful is going to happen. It is crazy. We talked about this many, many years ago. Right? You never know what a person has on a game.
Mm-hmm.
We used to work with a guy who was living paycheck to paycheck.
Sure, everyone was different. That's right, yeah.
Everybody's different, right? He would put paychecks on games that he liked. Doesn't matter. Other people made, 10 times him. They would sweat out $25 bets. You never have any idea.
Yep.
I did a Sunday morning pregame show in Las Vegas for many, many years. Guy came up to me one time, and you can never judge a book by its cover, ever. He had on some, I'm just going to describe what he looked like. He had like sloppy clothes on. It looked like he hadn't washed his jeans in a few days. It had holes in them. They were kind of like, almost like he was a mechanic, and like oil and grease had gotten over his clothes. And I'd never met the guy before in my entire life. He's just like, hey, Mitch, good to meet you. This is what I like today. What do you think about it? He had 10,000 on multiple tickets. You'd have no idea.
Yep.
Some people would say, this guy doesn't even belong in the sports book. Get him out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And he's betting 10 dimes a game.
I can't judge a book by its cover, no doubt.
Yeah.
Saturday also was a great example of how everything in this country now, it's either the greatest thing ever or it completely sucks. It was Gillis hosting SNL, the reaction to the monologue and how the show went.
It's quite good. I didn't watch the whole thing, but he is a damn good stand-up. And
I like the skits.
I saw some of the skits, yeah.
Yeah, right. Creative. Which you could say that was more of him and what he wanted to do coming in. I thought the Trump shoes thing was great.
Sure.
His imitation of Trump is spot on. And also pointed to maybe lack of creativity in writing on SNL for years. What's happened?
Yep. There's also this from the weekend in college basketball. We started the show with this. It's a big story. What happened at the end of the Duke-Wake Forest game? Wake beat Duke. They were favored in the game.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's
okay.
Yeah.
They're a good team this year. Kyle Filipowski, Duke star player, was injured in the scrum afterwards. And, the whole court storming thing has been a big issue now for the last 48 hours. And I do believe that this is going to be enough here to push the NCAA teams, universities over the line and say, look, something's got to happen right now. These fines are not a big deal. We're going to have to up the fines, or you're going to have to forfeit the games, right? So if that happened to Wake in the future and they stormed the court, sorry guys, but you're going to forfeit the game. What's going to be enough to convince the kids and the teams to not allow that to happen anymore?
So I've been on this for 7 years. I think it's asinine and absurd. It's one person called it an addiction. I like that assessment. Jay Billis said you don't belong on the floor. You don't.
Mm-hmm.
This shouldn't be allowed. You can also point the finger at Wake Forest and lack of security. You know this was coming. That issue, too. Your last sellout was 2007 against Duke. So you knew what was going to happen here as well. Now, as far as what's the proper punishment, is it one AD said you forfeit the game. One person threw it out there about you're banned from the postseason. Dalen Cuff said about $1 million fine. Any of those will stop it immediately.
You would think.
Why this continues to go on. Let's just back up to February 21st when there were 3 incidents in a 3-hour span. So we've had several brawls over the years. A person was almost paralyzed in 2004. You had a New Mexico State brawl where a guy knocked out a fan because he was coming after him. Oh, by the way, I'm just going to put it out there that a lot of these people running on the floor under the influence of something, whether they've been drinking or smoking ganja all day, whether they're coming out. Why are you running full speed, too? That's another thing. So while you can point the finger at Flip on the overhead shot because his right leg's extended where it looks like he's trying to trip the first guy, but then again, he's also in combat mode because I got people running right at me. And then the second guy tries to shove him in the back. But why are you running full speed? You're not going anywhere.
Sure.
What, half court? But you had Caitlin Clark. You also had what happened to Duke. It's enough already. And this who's going to be is it the conference? Is it the school? Is it the presidents? The NC2A can't find their ass with both hands. This has got to stop immediately and no more of this, because who knows? What if this guy is seriously injured? What if he would have been out for the year? And if what happened to Caitlin Clark as well? I mean, it's just that you have no business being on the floor.
It's not a rock concert.
Exactly right.
Nobody signed up for that.
Yeah, try that. Try that at a rock concert. Go to Rolling Stones. Try to jump up on Mick Jagger. Watch what happens.
Yeah. By the way, if I could bet on that, what are they under the influence with? I'm going to go alcohol every single time. Smoking hooch all day long, I don't think you're going to be running out there punching people in the face or pushing them down. I'll go they've had maybe one too many beers over anything else. This really, I thought, put it into perspective, but this is much earlier in the year. Again, you need to get ahead of this stuff. Better to be proactive than anything else. Matt Painter, Purdue head coach, talked about this months ago.
So we got to do something about the court storms, guys. I don't know why institutions aren't ready for it. Like, what did you think was going to happen if they won? Like, spread the word. Spread the word before somebody gets hurt. A student from Nebraska should be able to storm the court, right? Like, we're cool. Like, just get ready for it. If that's what you're going to do. So we're struggling in our conference with that. Our freshmen, sophomore, and juniors have never lost a road game without a court storm. Think about that.
No, that's absolutely bonkers.
Yep.
Really. And his first question that he asked, what do you think is going to happen? Like, you can smell these things coming from a mile away. Mm-hmm. You know the candidates every single day in college basketball of a potential court storming. But it's just like the universities and the schools and the people at the arena, they're never prepared enough ever for this. If you actually,
it doesn't happen in the NBA though. They rope it off. Remember the Ray Allen shot? The court was roped off because they thought the Spurs were going to win, but they blew it because they couldn't make a free throw.
And by the way, at conference tournament time, it's all like roped off or guarded off, or they have enough rails up. It's impossible to actually jump over this stuff and get on the court in time to actually cause this mess. Why can't that be in place in the regular season? It seems pretty simple. Mm-hmm. Like, the fix is actually kind of easy, and yet nobody's ever done anything about it. And they're just, that, well, it took Filipowski, who knows? I mean, what if it's bad though? What if, because freak things happen? I mean, remember Greenlaw in the Super Bowl? How he tore his Achilles?
Yep.
Are you kidding me? Like, that can't happen on a court storming. Does it really have to take that to say, we're done, we got to fix it now?
You can't put it on the players, too, where you get off the court. I saw a lot of that. We'll get off the court. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I'm stuck by the 3-point line, and I got all these lunatics running right at me. Get out of the way. You saw Shire almost lost his mind. I don't blame him.
You're 150 people deep.
Because at that point,
you're still at half court.
Yeah, at that point, he's hurt. So now you got to get him off the floor. Then you got the girlfriend helping out in the tunnel, and then she's screaming at people. And when it's other people have played the game, like, I've never seen that one before. Yeah. The girlfriend's allowed in the tunnel with the team. What happened? But it was the perfect storm for everyone was watching, and it was Duke. Because as Gary Parrish said on CBS College Sports, this stuff happens all the time. You don't hear about it, though, because it's not Duke.
Sure.
It's New Mexico State. But then you just saw what happened with a Caitlin Clark. So it's like, what are we doing here? This is just stupid.
Yeah. Yep.
The fans have no business being on the floor, and there should be stiff, and that 200,000 isn't enough.
Yeah, that's the thing. Another, to tie in and go full circle here with SNL, doing a skit on sports betting, if you could bet on games that are going to have a court storming, if the home team wins, they would be like, Wake Forest would have been minus 20,000. Have a court storming after the game. You know when it's coming.
Yeah.
Up next, In Pocket Plays here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.